Today we're going to take a quick look at the Walrus Audio Julianna Deluxe Chorus Vibrato. Yes, I've already covered this on my page, but I think that video was kind of poorly done, so we're going to look at it again. We'll do a functional overview right here, kind of go over some of the stuff, and I've been using this pedal for about 2 years or so, maybe only 1 year. A year and a half or so. So I think I can explain kind of what's going on, whether you should buy it over the Julia, whether you should buy it over the Boss, some of the Boss solutions, and whether you should buy it over a multi-modulation solution like the Walrus Audio M1, which I just recently got. So let's cover the basics. This is a deluxe chorus vibrato. Basically takes the concept of the Julia and expands it to stereo, and it also gives you more features like the tap tempo and some other things that we're going to cover in a little bit. I/O, we got for the inputs, we have tap or expression pedal input. You can select which one you want to do inside of here. You have stereo input, so you can just bring in a mono signal in this hole and stereo signal through both. And then you also have a 9-volt center negative DC, 9-volt DC barrel jack that requires 100 milliamps for this pedal. And then you have mono out and then your right output for stereo. You have 2 soft touch switches, which are very, very nice. There's 2 LEDs, which they're pretty bright, but it's not the worst in the world. There's 4 knobs using these nice Walrus metal knobs. I love these guys. And then there are 2 3-way toggle switches on the top, and I'll get to those in a minute. There's nothing on the top. The jacks are all side mounted in order to get all the jacks that they needed on here without making you use silly adapters. They kind of had to do it this way, which I guess I'm fine with. The enclosure is this really nice kind of soft touch finish. It's this matte kind of enclosure. It's really well built. The seams are really tight, and it feels like they actually like ground. They put the lid on and then they did some finishing to kind of make sure that everything lined up. It's also got this really cool like machined Walrus logo in the bottom of the pedal, which I know it was not cheap to do, so props to Walrus for doing that. Unfortunately, they didn't keep doing it on the MAKO series, which was kind of a bummer for me anyways. Controls time. So what do we have? We'll start over here. We have the rate control here, which controls the rate of the LFO modulating the pitch, or modulating the delay time, which modulates the pitch. We have the depth control, which is basically how far that delay line is being modulated. So how much is that time changing? So it could change a little bit to do a slight wiggle, or it can change a lot to really make a really seasick sounding sound, a seasick inducing sound, seasickness inducing. The lag control is unique to the Julia and the Julianna. It allows you, most other vibrato pedals or chorus pedals do not allow you to control this. It lets you adjust the length of the delay time. So this is adjusting how much the delay time is being changed, and this adjusts the actual center point of that delay time, which is really unique. Most chorus pedals just give you a setting, but it's really nice to be able to kind of adjust it. The further you go this way, towards this position, the more intense the vibrato gets, or chorus and vibrato gets. Go back the other way and it's a little more subtle. I've been out of the focus range here. Sorry about that. Finally, we have the mix control, which is really great as well. Not every chorus pedal gives you that. You can go from 100% dry all the way through to 100% wet for a vibrato, and chorus is really anywhere in between technically. So this is vibrato, this is chorus, this is chorus, this is chorus. That's nothing. Great. Very cool. These extra 2 controls do make a big difference in my opinion. They really let you fine tune in that vibrato or chorus sound that you're after, and I think that it sounds really, really well. It sounds really, really good. It's an all analog pedal with some digital control, obviously for tempo and bypass and that type of thing. The switches, so they're a little bit difficult. I think they're a bit difficult to see on the screen, but I'll set the pedal down and zoom in really, really far in post. So this one over here, the left one, sets the tap tempo subdivision. So you can go from quarter note triplet, and 8th note subdivisions of the tapping, which is nice. So it's a 3-way switch you can flick. I really like the 8th. That's my personal favorite, although I didn't use the tap tempo a ton when I had this pedal. There's also a wave shape control, which lets you go between sine triangle, and random. Random is really wild. I use the sine most of the time, but I think the triangle is a more traditional chorus or vibrato sound. Now, there's a few hidden features. So one of them is a momentary feature. So this is just like on the Monument tremolo pedal. So basically when the pedal's off, you can just press and hold the foot switch, the bypass foot switch, and the pedal will come on and stay on until you release the foot switch, if you do it for a long enough amount of time. If you just touch it and release really quickly, the pedal will just turn on and stay on when your foot's off. But if you press and hold it, it will stay on only as long as you're holding it, which is really cool. Another cool feature is the drift control. And so basically with this, the drift feature, basically it adds a second LFO to modulate the first LFO. So it's changing the rate, it's changing the speed of the modulation. So that way, you know, say your modulation was moving at this rate, and then you could attach another LFO to make it go faster, and then slow down, and then go faster. And so you have a secondary LFO to really kind of mix up the waveforms and make things crazy. And the way that you set that was by pressing and holding the bypass switch, and then adjusting the depth control, and then that would engage that kind of drift feature, and it would, adjusting this control while holding the foot switch will be the depth of that drift. Now, another cool feature is that when you have the pedal on, you could also press and hold on the tap tempo switch, and it would ramp up the speed to a secondary speed preset, as long as you were holding this. And then when you let go, it goes back down. So, and the way to set that, you held down the bypass switch, and then you moved the rate knob to the desired position, and then you got a secondary speed that you could ramp up or ramp down to. So if you set the secondary speed slower than, say you set the rate speed all the way up, and then you set the secondary one all the way down, then when you held down this button, it would actually ramp down to that speed, and when you let go, it would go back up. So you can set it both ways. You can set either one wherever you want, which is really, really handy. So these features all combine to make a pedal that sounds really awesome. And in the sound samples, you heard how good that stereo image sounds. It's just tasty. The vibrato sounds are our choice. They're really great. You can really dial in anything from subtle to insane on this pedal. And if you're looking for kind of a tweaker pedal for a chorus, like how do you get the most out of your chorus and vibrato sounds in the studio or live? If you just want one pedal for chorus and vibrato and you don't really have a lot of other modulation needs, then I think this pedal does a really fantastic job. And in comparison to other chorus pedals, I think it's a little bit more spendy than some, but I think some of the features that it has make it really, really great. Do I think it's, the end-all be-all chorus pedal? Maybe not, but it's pretty darn close. And I think that a lot of other pedals can really benefit from some of the cool features on this pedal, like the ramping, the momentary, the mix control, and the lag control. It would be awesome to see those on other chorus pedals. I think what would be cool for Walrus next time is add some MIDI functionality, like at least to, make this input MIDI compatible. And then that way you could send MIDI tempo information in, or add MIDI CC so that I can turn on and off the pedal and adjust all kinds of stuff remotely. That would be just sweet if we could do some of that stuff, a la Jackson Audio. We'll see if Walrus ends up doing that, because the M1 kind of already fills that role. But I love how deep this pedal can go into the chorus and vibrato stuff. And in my opinion, it's deeper than it's more than what the M1 can do. The M1 covers a bigger breadth, so you can have different numbers of chorus lines or choruses in one pedal. But this pedal really does, it sounds really, really, really well. So I really like it. Please check one out today, or check out if you don't need stereo and you don't want tap tempo, check out the Julia. The Julia is just a mono only version of this pedal that has the great lag and mix control. It basically only has these 4 controls plus the wave shape, and it gets rid of this, and you just have one button. So if you're into that kind of thing, then the Julia is your gal. But I think that this one makes a really compelling case for its beautiful stereo image and the awesome tap tempo and ramping features. I didn't always use them when I used this pedal, but I did find them to be really nice. I think that some people will find some of these features not, you might be like, well, I don't need all these features, but the stereo image I think is worth the price of entry alone. So consider one. This isn't really an advert, it's kind of more of a review. I think in detriment to this pedal, it only does one thing. Like, that's my complaint. I wish it had more wave shapes. I wish you could modify the wave shapes a little bit more. And I wish it had MIDI controls, and I wish everything was top mounted, that type of thing. But I think in terms of sonically, it's pretty dang perfect. I think the one couple complaints, minor complaints, there was a bit of a small pop. It's not crazy, but just a small pop when you engage or disengage the pedal, which I think was a bit disconcerting. There is a finite amount of noise that this pedal generates, and to some people it might be too much. I think it's an appropriate amount, but it's more than my old Boss CE2W was. And yeah, I think that'll about do it for the Walrus Audio Julianna. I think in terms of chorus pedals, I think in terms of a rating, I would give it 9 out of 10 for what it is for the price. I mean, there's definitely cheaper pedals, but this thing does a darn good job of doing the chorus and vibrato tones, and its versatility is pretty much unmatched amongst all analog signal path chorus vibrato pedals.